Hola, bienvenidos a otra sesión de Satchel Classes. Soy Mr. Castrillón and I would like to welcome you to another session here on Satchel Classes. Today's lesson is called Hemos Estudiado and it has to deal with a lot of those structures that we tend to use a lot in Spanish and that actually are really helpful and really hard to actually learn. So today's lesson should be good for all those key stage 4 students who want to improve their sentences, who want to actually make the most out of this structure. Now, today we are going to repasar verbos terminados en ar. Vamos a aprender la terminación usada en el participio perfecto. Vamos a aprender el presente perfecto y sus usos y vamos a traducir oraciones y practicar. So without further ado, let's start with the first part of the lesson. We're going to practice our pronunciation today. Today's sound is E. And be very aware that it's not going to sound he, it's E. Our H in Spanish has no sound whatsoever. However, when you're spelling words, you must include the H if the spelling includes that letter. Now, some examples are coherencia. Do repeat after me. Coherencia. Now, if you want to speak in Spanish from Spain, you would say coherencia. Coherencia. Notice that we don't pronounce the H in the middle. Another example is E. E. Hemos. Hemos. Cohete. Cohete. Enhebrar. Enhebrar. So as you can see, we do not pronounce the H, we just pronounce the E after each one of the letters. So for instance, coherencia or cohete or enhebrar, that H is not pronounced. Now I'm going to give you 60 seconds to try and work out the meaning of each one of those words. Off you go. And our time is up. Let's check the answers. So we have coherence. I have. E means I have in Spanish. Hemos means we have in Spanish. Cohete means rocket. And finally, enhebrar means to thread. Let's move on. Now then, we are going to match these verbs. Terminar, jugar, pensar, comprar, echar, empezar, estar. And we are going to match them up with these words or infinitives in English. Off you go. And our time is up. How did it go? Let's see the answers. Terminar means to finish, jugar to play, pensar to think, comprar to buy, echar to throw, empezar to begin, estar to be. Okay, now we're going to use these verbs to actually create sentences. Now we have these options here on my left, and we are going to match them up with these options on our right. Off you go. And our time is up. Now, before I give you the answers, always remember that if you come across with an exercise like this, the best thing to do is to start with those words that are familiar to us. So, for instance, juego might kind of match with the word football because they are very common to us in English. They are very transparent to us. Now, let's see the answers. Here we are. Mi hermana termina su clase de español a las 2. Juego al fútbol todos los días. Mis padres piensan que la red es dañina. Voy a comprar un par de vaqueros en las tiendas. Echo de menos las clases en mi colegio. Empezaré a leer más seguido este año. Estamos muy contentos de verte bien de salud. How did that go? Well, now it's your time to show off those translating skills, and we are going to translate those sentences into English. Off you go. And our time is up. Before I give you the answers, remember that you are more than welcome to take pictures of these slides and lessons, or feel free to actually come back to a lesson and check every bit of information that you get. Let's see the answers to this. So here we go. We have all of these ones. I'm not going to read them out for you. Feel free to take a picture of them so you can use them at schools with your writing exercises or your speaking exercises. Let's move on. Now, we're going to talk about the present perfect tense in Spanish. And let's say we have this sentence, we have played. Now, how do we say this in Spanish? Well, remember that we in Spanish, we can actually leave out that pronoun, which is nosotros in Spanish, and we basically use the verb. In this case, it's going to be hemos. And now, played is going to use what we call the participle, which is jugado, in this case, for play in Spanish. So we would read this sentence as hemos jugado. Now then, this applies for all those verbs that end in AR. If the verb ends in IR or ER, then the changing is going to be slightly different. So feel free to ask your teacher so you can double check how the changes happen or take place. So for instance, with the first one, practicar, we go to practicado. Now I'm going to give you some time to try and think of the endings for jugar, comprar, estudiar, visitar, mirar, and hablar. Off you go. Okay, so let's see how we change these infinitives into past participle. So we have jugado, comprado, estudiado, visitado, mirado, and finally hablado. So let's see. We have here a group of sentences and we want to fill in with the right verb in past participle. Now, these are the options here, and all we need to do is fill them up with the right in the right way. So off you go. And our time is over. Let's see the answers for that. Hemos echado de menos los Juegos Olímpicos. Hemos pensado en comprar un piso en Madrid. Hemos estado muy ocupados con la mudanza. Hemos empezado a repasar para el examen. Hemos comprado unos zapatos muy costosos. Hemos jugado en el ordenador toda la noche. Hemos terminado de leer Romeo y Julieta. Remember to take a picture of this and, of course, show it to your teacher so you can actually learn a lot more of words that we use in Spanish. And feel free to translate this at home. Now we are going to translate these sentences into Spanish. Off you go. And our time is up. Let's see the answers. Here we go. Okay, so take a picture of this and check the translations against the English original sentences. And of course, feel free to come back to the video and watch it again. In the meantime, muchos éxitos y hasta muy pronto.